Hey everyone, it's Darren. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about drop-down lists in Excel. Drop-down lists, we've all seen them. It's just a way to pick an option and you get a list of the options available to you. You can also type into those lists in some cases, and the shortcut to typing the full thing, you can constrict the data entry to only what's actually valid, which prevents typos or at least reduces typos. And because of that, they're really useful. And not everyone realizes that Excel actually allows you to put those into cells. So let's go ahead and see how to do that. To start, you go over to the data menu and then you pick data validation. Now, depending on your screen resolution and window size, it might say data validation, or you might just have the little check and stop sign here. But it'll be in the data tools section. And we're going to pick data validation and list today. I have another video coming out that covers all the other aspects of data validation, but this is an important enough topic I wanted to give it its own video. So subscribe and hit notify when I release the data validation menu video. You'll see that as well. But we're going to cover the drop-down list here, and then we'll do all the rest of the data validation on that other video. So today we're just going to pick list. And so you have a couple of options: ignore blank and in-cell dropdown. Those are already checked by default. Let's go ahead and leave those checked. And the question is, what do we want to actually pick? Well, first, we're going to select the range of cells that we want the data validation to apply to. And then we'll come back to data validation, pick list, and your data source. So your data source is just a list of all the valid values. So I'm going to just pick this source right here. So those colors, those are the valid values that I can choose from. Now when I come over here and I start typing in values, I can do a couple of things. First, I can actually just pick it straight from the drop-down list and do everything with my mouse. I can start typing letters and it'll give me the options. And if I just hit enter, it'll take the selected option. If I type something that's not there and hit enter, it's going to give me an error message. And it gives me the option to retry. Now, the nice thing is I don't have to actually accept this error message. I can change it. So if I come up here to data validation again, remember I've selected everything. And I come over here to the error alert. In this case, I give the title, it's going to be bad color selection. Please select only a valid color. And now if I come over here and I type black again, okay, so it's bad color selection. Please select only a valid color. I can retry or cancel. If I hit retry, it lets me come back in here. So that's the first part. And you saw there were a couple of other options on there. So if I select this again and go back to data validation, I could either stop, I could give a warning, or I could give information. So if I do information, it gives me a warning, a little friendlier thing there, but it accepts it. So what about the other option on there? If I pick warning, please select only valid color, and it asks me if I want to continue or not. If I hit continue, it'll enter purple, even though it's not on the list. If I hit no, then it removes it. It won't accept it. So those are the basic options that you have. One other option that you have there is to control your input message. Let's go back up here to data validation again. An input message is going to show if you hover over the cell. So if I come here, it's going to bring this little pop-up up. So that's just sort of a little hint for anyone that's typing information in. And that'll tell you, what you should be looking at. So this is one way to do it. And there's a second way to do it actually. And that second way is to combine it with something like VLOOKUP. Uh, Doing it this way, you could, for example, have people pick the colors of a car that they're looking at, and it's only going to let them pick a valid car color. It's not going to let them pick something that doesn't exist that way. The other way to do it, though, is actually if you link it to something like customer data. This is all just random data; these aren't real people. So if I have customer number, name and address and city, state, zip code, and I come over here and I want to be able to type in a customer number and a couple things. First, first thing that happens, I want to make sure that's a actually real customer. If that's not a valid customer, I don't want to pick that customer number. And the second thing that I want to happen, if it's a valid customer, I want to fill in the other information. I don't want to have to retype the name and the address and everything. I just want it to automatically fill. Because as you know, retyping that information manually, that's where you get errors. So what do? Well, we start exactly like we did before. So we're going to set data validation, and we're going to pick list. And source in this case is going to be over here, and I'm going to pick column A. So now when I type in 50, it's a valid number. If I type in 948, it's not a valid number. I think I have them up to 100. Well, what else can we do here? Remember I said I wanted to automatically fill my data. Well, this is where the VLOOKUP comes in. I have a separate video on VLOOKUP, links down in the description for that. So it's equals VLOOKUP. And what are you looking up? Well, in this case, I'm looking for that value. Where am I looking for it? Let's come over here to the customer table. I'm going to select all of these just to make life easier later on. Which column do I want? Well, in this case, I'm looking for first name, so I want column 2. With VLOOKUP, like I said, there's a more detailed video elsewhere, but uh, the first column in your range has to be the column that has the value you're looking for. So in this case, customer number, and that's column 1. The next column in your range is column 2, then 3, then 4, etc. Uh, there's a newer function called XLOOKUP, and XLOOKUP is more powerful than VLOOKUP. There's another one, HLOOKUP. HLOOKUP is VLOOKUP, but twisted sideways. Uh, you don't usually use it because your data doesn't usually land in Excel that way. Uh, XLOOKUP, like I said, a lot of people say always just use XLOOKUP. The problem is XLOOKUP only works if you have a reasonably up-to-date version of Excel 365. XLOOKUP does not work on the standalone Excels. It doesn't work in OpenOffice. It doesn't work on the online stuff. So if you're not using it yourself, or if you think you might be sending this spreadsheet to anybody who doesn't have and isn't using the reasonably up-to-date version of Excel 365, just stick with VLOOKUP. It's not that bad. So again, we had VLOOKUP C1, and we have the table area we're looking for. The column index is 2, and I want an exact match, which is false. And then I get Sophia. Okay, so now I want to copy this over and get the rest of the data. And instead of having to manually change these things each time, I'm going to set some of this to be absolute. So I want the C to be absolute, but not the 1, because the 1 is going to be changing as I go down. And then over here on the destination, I want that to be absolute. So that still works. But now I can come over here and copy a few more of these over. And now all I have to change when I go into here is this is just going to be number 3. This is going to be row 4. And this one's going to be row 5. Okay. So now if I copy this down, you're going to see something happen, which is that I get a lot of not founds. And I don't really want a lot of not founds. So what do you do about that? Well, you tell it that if there's an error, just don't display it. So you go to the beginning of this and just do if error, quote, quote, give a blank. Now if I copy that down, it's a blank. So I'm going to actually just copy this whole thing over again. And go change these rows again here. So this is 3. This is 4. And this one is 5. And that one just isn't there. Okay. And now I can actually copy this down. And all of those are blank until I come over here and type in a customer number 75. And it automatically fills in everything for that customer. Now, that's going to save so much time. If you can use this, if you're typing in information and you have to get the customer information right, uh, once you set it up, it's automatic. And you can generate mailing labels off here, whatever you need to do. So that's really all there is to these drop-down menus. They're incredibly useful. They save a lot of problems with mistyped data, with errors, and they're really not that hard to use, even with VLOOKUP here. So, like I said, there's a link down the description to VLOOKUP. You can check that out if you want some more information on how that works. And I'll have an upcoming video on the rest of the data validation options. So if you're interested in that, be sure to subscribe. If you learned anything from the video today, please hit like. Also, I do have a Patreon page at patreon.com/data analysis excellence. If you could help us out there, that would be great. Anything you can do with Patreon or with liking, with sharing this video, that really helps to keep me motivated to keep going on these videos. Anyway, if you have any questions, drop them down in the comments. I look forward to seeing you next time.